Hello, Sagittarius friends. Up today is your October 2025 Vedic Astrology forecast plus bonus tarot card reading. We're going to see what Exalted Jupiter means for you this October, and we're going to look at the October 6th full moon and October 20th new moon, so Sagittarius, you can get a feeling for how the whole month of October is going to unfold for you. If you're new here, welcome to Anastasia Tarot and Vedic Astrology channel, where I help you navigate the cosmic currents and surf the planetary wavelengths with ease and grace. Now, let's get into Sagittarius Vedic Astrology and Tarot for October 2025. Chapters are time-stamped in the description below. And as always with collective readings, results are going to vary depending on your personal chart. So take what aligns and leave the rest behind. This October 2025 horoscope is for Sagittarius rising, Sagittarius moon, and Sagittarius sun as per your Vedic sidereal astrology chart. Okay, Sagittarius, we are going to start looking at your chart for the October 6th full moon to get a feel for the beginning of the month, and then we'll look at the new moon on October 21st and see the end of the month. So the first thing to have a look at, Sag, is your Lagna Lord. Jupiter is continuing in your 7th house of relationships. So this is a very nice placement for your Lagna Lord to be in the 7th house. Jupiter is a benefic, so it's bringing some opportunities there. Sagittarius, if you're looking for love, this Jupiter in 7th house can definitely bring romantic opportunities. And you've also got Sun is in your 10th house of career. So if you're looking for collaboration or partnership in your career, in your professional life, we also see this activation, Jupiter in the house of partnership and Sun in the house of career. So these two can work well if you're looking for any sorts of, career partnerships, as well as the Jupiter bringing possible romantic, obviously not for every Sag, but for some Sagittarius. And we've got Rahu and Ketu in the 9th house, which is a lucky house. Excuse me, we've got Venus and Ketu in the 9th house. I think we'll come back to that later. But again, that does just add a little bit of luck factor. Venus is the planet of relationships, love, romance, that sort of thing. So this 9th house Venus can give a little help for this. Now, Sag, this October is a mixed bag for you. You've got this Saturn is continuing in your 4th house of Pisces, and it's retrograde for the full month of October. That continues until November. So for Sagittarius moon, this is not for all Sagittarius, but for Sagittarius moon signs, this Saturn in your 4th house is Kantaka Shani. And this is a little bit, almost like a mini Sade Sate. Now, it's a 2.5-year cycle, so it's bigger than just October. But for Sag moon, having this, Saturn over your 4th house, it can cause a real pressurized experience with, for example, your mother. 4th house rules mother, home, vehicles. So you may experience some pressure with your mother, the relationship with your mother. And there may be a feeling of burden, extra work around the home. And so this is just something to be aware of with this Kantaka Shani for Sagittarius moon. If you are feeling quite a bit of pressure from that, you may want to book a personal reading to really go into your chart and your planetary cycles and get into some personalized remedies for that. But okay, now going back to the general Sagittarius reading. With this Saturn moon conjunction happening in your 4th house on the full moon. What is full moon, right? If you have any kind of spiritual practice, the full moon is what has come to completion and what you're ready to let go of, right? After the full moon, the moon starts waning, and that supports the things that you want to let go of. So with this moon and Saturn together in your 4th house, it may really be a fruitful time to think about what it is in your home life that you're willing to let go of. It could be a bigger thing, like, like a car, you're done with your car, or where you live and wanting to move. It could be, really big thing like that. Or it could be smaller things like just your day-to-day schedule, or maybe you feel like rearranging your home, or, and Saturn can pressurize relationships with your mom or with your near and dear ones who you share your home with. So definitely, if your mom is still with us, if you feel like you're having some, conflicts or burden from your mom, this moon and Saturn together in the 4th house, this full moon, this is a nice time to let those things go and really think about, okay, these patterns in my home life, these patterns of relating with my mother, or, relating with my family in my home life, I'm ready to let go of them. And so that's a focus for this new moon. If you do any kinds of spiritual practices to release things on the full moon. I think I just said new moon, it's the full moon. Okay, so now let's talk about this sun in your 10th house and Mars and Mercury together in your 11th house. So this is quite nice when we see a 10th and 11th house activation together, because the 10th house is career. With Sun in your 10th house, you're definitely going to have some focus on your career. With Sun in Virgo, Sagittarius, I know, Sag, you can be a big picture kind of a person, but Sun in Virgo in the 10th house is definitely going to invite you to be more detail-oriented and more analytical about your career. So that's going on with this Sun in your career house. And you've got Mars and Mercury together in 11th house Libra. 11th house is your wider social networks, and it is gains from your own work. So that's why we really like to see, 10th and 11th house activation together. If 10th house shows your career and your work, and then 11th house is your gains from that work. So this is a somewhat complex activation, though. You've got Mercury and Mars together, and these two are not the best roommates. Mercury is a negotiator, it wants to negotiate, bargain, communicate. Mars is a warrior. Mars just wants to go to battle and defeat the enemies. So this is a little bit complex and may take some management. Now, the 11th house has to do also with your broader, social, professional networks, older siblings, if you have them. So with Mercury there, you may find within your relations with your social networks and your siblings, especially with your social networks, you may find that you're dealing with more younger people. with Libra, this really supports some nice intellectual exchanges. Mercury and Libra in the 11th house. You may be, having some lovely intellectual exchanges, maybe even with students. You've got this nice 9th house activation down here. So it could be with students or young people. But just all in all, Mercury and Libra in the 11th house, very nice activation for intellectual exchange, and also, for business. If you do business, Mercury does quite well for business and negotiation, that sort of thing. Now, Mars makes it complex because on the one hand, Mars is going to give energy and vitality to 11th house. So for example, Sag, if you enjoy team sports, Mars in 11th house would, very much encourage participation in team sports, physical activities with other people. It doesn't necessarily have to be sports like, if you're in a hiking club where you go hiking with a group of people, just any type of physical activity that you do with a group of people, Mars in 11th house really thrives on that. It does get complex though, because with this Jupiter in the 7th house, Sun in the 10th house, that's really going to support working in collaboration with other people. And also, Mercury and these three planets, your Lagna Lord, Jupiter, the Sun, and Mercury, all want you to work in collaboration with other people. But Mars up here really wants to work alone. So that's going to be just somewhat of a balancing act for you, Sag, is to balance your drives to work in collaboration, to work in group, partnership, collaboration with other people, which Jupiter, Sun, and Mercury are all kind of pushing you in that direction, and Mars wants to work alone. So just look for a balance there where you are, taking care of your own business and what you want to do and have some time working alone, but also being able to take advantage of, this nice placement here that supports working in collaboration. Now, for the, Mars can bring some aggression. So definitely you want to be aware of, if there's any, aggression or anger issues coming up with siblings, especially older siblings, or, within your community or group. Mostly just watch out for that around October 20 to 23rd. That's the Rudra Yoga. So just on October 20th to the 23rd, be extra special aware and, just play it cool. Don't get drawn into any conflicts from this Mars in the 11th house. Now, for Sagittarius students, this Venus and Ketu activation of your 9th house, which is, religion, philosophy, lovely, lovely activation. Ketu does well in the 9th house. 9th house, it has to do with religion, spirituality, and Ketu is a moksha planet. Ketu is a very spiritual planet. And 9th house can also have to do with relationship with your father or guru. So Venus in the 9th house, if you have good relationship with your father, Venus in the 9th house would bolster that. And if you have difficult relationship with your father, you may find that this Venus in the 9th house supports smoothing things over with him. Now, Ketu is a disruptor. And Ketu, even though Ketu does well in the 9th house, Ketu does disrupt things. And so if you follow a guru or teacher, Ketu could disrupt that. You may find yourself changing, perhaps just leaving that guru or, finding a different guru. And for students, this Venus in the ninth house, really great for students. And we talked about, up here with this Mercury in the 11th, intellectual debates with young people. So for students, nice time for, philosophical debates, things of that nature. And studies should be going well. Just, be careful you're not, chit-chatting too much when you should be doing your homework, things of that nature. Venus in the ninth house, you may meet someone through your studies or through church group, religion, something like that. We talked about K2 being a disruptor. With Venus is, pretty tight conjunction with K2. Venus is at 27 degrees Leo. K2 is 24 degrees Leo. Venus can really bring this unconditional love vibe to K2. So Venus kind of softens some of this, disruptive moksha aspect of K2. Okay, that is the first chart. Now we're going to fast forward to October 21st to look at your new moon chart and the end of the month. Okay, Sag, so we are looking at the chart for October 21st, and I know I said October 20th, but the new moon is, in fact, when I manually input the data, the new moon is, in fact, on October 21st. You can see here it's at 4 degrees. The moon and sun are conjunct at 4 degrees of Libra, which that conjunction of the moon and sun is what creates the new moon. So, as you can see, Sag, super 11th house activation. It was activated in the beginning of the month, but it's like really super activated now. And this continues this theme of your 10th and 11th house activation. So we'll talk about that in just a minute. First of all, though, your Lagna Lord, Jupiter, has moved off of your 7th house, and he is now in your 8th house. And he's exalted. Jupiter is in Cancer, exaltation sign. This happens about every 12 years. So, Sag, this is really lovely for your exalted, for your Lagna Lord to be exalted. It's a benefit for health, vitality. However, it's in the 8th house, which is a Dusthana house. So this is a little bit of a mixed blessing. So for one thing, 8th house can have to do with joint finances. So with benefic Jupiter in your house of joint finances, Sag, if you have marital partner, business partner, anything of that nature, this can be good for your joint finances, money potentially coming to you through your partner, through your partnership. And also, for unearned income, Jupiter, and obviously this isn't for every Sag, but for some Sag, this Jupiter in the 8th house can bring inheritance. 8th house has to do with death and transformation, as well as joint finances and unearned income. So Jupiter in the 8th for some Sag could bring inheritance or, legal settlements, legal awards, that type of thing, unearned money. Now, with Venus activating your 10th house, Venus is in detriment, Venus is debilitated in Virgo. Venus normally does not like being in Virgo, but this is getting some cancellation. The debilitation gets canceled because we have this lovely Parivartana yoga happening. So as you can see, Mercury is in Libra, which is Venus's sign, and Venus is in Virgo, which is Mercury's sign. So there's this exchange of energy between Venus and Mercury. And this is activating the exchange between the 10th and 11th house. So this is really lovely for you, Sag, in terms of your career. You have benefic Venus in your 10th house of career, which is helping your charisma in your workplace. If you work in a large organization or government, your superiors are going to look favorably on you. But even if you self-employed, own your own business, definitely Venus gives a boost to charisma in your professional life and your public reputation. You can really shine with your public reputation. And then we already talked about, this Mercury in the 11th house is, good for business. So this combination of these two is really going to, your communication gets heightened, your charisma gets heightened. So really quite nice. And, so many planets are in your 11th house that kind of don't all fit there. But with the sun having moved now to your 11th house, it's going to put the focus on your relationship with groups. Again, whether that's your social networks, your professional networks, it could also be, older siblings and your family group. But with this Sun, Mars, and Mercury, a little bit of a complex activation. So there's definitely, this continues this theme of who are you, Sag? Who are you in the group? It's time to get really clear, Mercury and Mars together. If you're able to integrate those two energies with this lovely balancing Libra energy, if you're able to integrate the lessons of Mars and Mercury, it's really good about getting clear with your communication about who you are, what you stand for, what are your boundaries. So this, at its highest expression, this combination of Sun, Mars, and Mercury all together in Libra in your 11th house, it can really help you get clear about who you are within the group, what you stand for within the group, and what are your boundaries within the group. And all of this can work quite nicely with the 10th house activation. For Sagittarians looking for love, Venus in 10th house, there is some possibility of, meeting a love interest in the workplace, or it could be, someone who's older than you or in a position of authority. So again, that's not going to be all Sagittarians, but just something to be aware of. Okay, Sag, so that is it for October astrology. Kind of a mixed bag, but definitely some lovely activations between the 10th house of career, 11th house of gains. But for Sag Moon, that is that Kantaka Shani that you want to practice remedies for. Either Saturn remedies, if you want to check out the planetary mantras video on the channel here, you can practice Saturn mantras, or, book a personal appointment if you want to get more into it, what it is for your individual cycles. But all in all, Sag, very nice activation of 10th and 11th house energies together, and this exalted Jupiter in your 8th house. Oh, that is one thing I wanted to say. With this Jupiter in the 8th house, 8th house is very mystical. So this combination of Ketu in the 9th house and Jupiter in the 8th house, Sag, you may find that you're getting into some real depth with if you have meditation practices, yoga practices, things of that nature. Maybe you have, mantra, whatever your spiritual practices are, you may find here with this exalted Jupiter in the 8th and Ketu in Leo in the 9th, you may really find that you're going a lot deeper with your spiritual practices. Okay, Sag. Now I really am signing off on the astrology, and up next we will get into your tarot reading. Okay, Sagittarius friends, we're going to get into your tarot and numerology for October 2025. I'm going to pick 3 cards for you. Okay, Sag, the first card is Knight of Swords, followed by 6 of Cups and 10 of Cups. Really some lovely things going on emotionally for you, Sag. So first, let's talk about this Knight of Swords. So especially this is for my Sagittarius moon friends, you do have retrograde Saturn over your 4th house of home, mother, and vehicles. So Saturn is a it's a heavy, slow-moving planet. You may have a feeling of frustration around the home and around your near and dear ones. This is especially Sag moon, but it also applies to Sag rising and sun. So I know Sagittarius, right? You're a fire sign and you want to just charge forward. And if there's obstacles and limitations, you want to just charge forward through those and, whoosh, wash them away, or, sometimes, run away and just get on to the next thing. So Sag, with slow moving Saturn over your 4th house, if you're feeling this, really wanting to just blast through whatever frustrations are happening, these Cups cards are really pointing you in a different direction. So let's talk about that. And the thing to remember is, although Saturn is over your 4th house, probably causing some frustrations there, by the end of October, you have this wonderful, through this latter part of October, all of this activation. I'm looking over at your chart right now in your 11th house of gains and social networks. So Sagittarius, with this 6 of Cups, there can be some really pleasant times in store for you with, older siblings is also in the 11th house. So some really pleasant times with your extended family, your tribe, and, could be older siblings. And this is borne out by this lovely, lovely 10 of Cups. So there's a great emotional prosperity that is available to you at this time, Sagittarius. And again, there's all of this 11th house activation, and looking over at your chart, you've got Venus in the 10th house of career, and Jupiter in your 8th house of, regeneration and transformation. So really the main thing here is, Sag, is this is kind of a caution. Just slow down. And, if you're feeling frustrated about it, just, slow down. What's that saying? Slow down and smell the roses. So just, this is just your mind doing what it does. Your mind wants you to blast through limitations and, run on to the next thing. Thank you for sharing, mind. And then really just lovely, lovely activation for the emotions and the social life with these Cups cards and all of this, 11th house activation you experience in the latter part of October. Now, with this 6, it could be, even getting together with people you haven't seen for a while. And with the 10, it's really, 10 is a completion card, and this is a situation that completes with blessings, with ease and grace and blessings on the emotional and spiritual level. So socially, these 2 cards, as I mentioned, are, socially, some pleasant experiences with your older siblings, your family, your tribe, your extended social networks. Now, spiritually, with exalted Jupiter in your 8th house, on a spiritual level, having a balanced spiritual practice is really going to lead you to some spiritual breakthroughs and some spiritual maturity. This lovely, lovely 10 of Cups speaks to some spiritual blessings coming your way. And looking at your chart, I think that relates to this, exalted Jupiter in the 8th house, which is a really mystical and spiritual house. So Sagittarius, once you get past this, and this could also be just also, if you have a lot of activities, it may feel like things are going at a whirlwind pace. And so again, with these cards, these lovely Cups cards, just, make sure you can slow down and really enjoy the experience. So now we're going to take numerology. And so we have 6 plus 10 is 16, and 16 is the Tower card. Oh my goodness, right? Like the Tower in the major arcana, the Triumphi. At first glance, that seems really, really at odds with this reading. On a material level, the Tower is sudden upheavals. No one likes to get the Tower card when, you're speaking about your day-to-day life. But I really find the Tower on a spiritual level, the Tower is really quite a lovely card. And you do have this benefic exalted Jupiter in your 8th house. And 8th house can very much relate to Tower experiences. As you're going deep into the 8th house, you're confronting the mysteries of death, life after death, all of these deeper aspects of life, and maybe even the mysteries of Kundalini energy for Sagittarians who are working with that energetic healing and Kundalini energy. So this Tower, really coming back to this guy here, you may find with Jupiter's support in your 8th house that you're letting go of some of your egoic attachments. And for Sag, I know you're not usually attached to things that much. Sag is a very idealistic sort of a sign. But you can be attached to certain ideas and ideals. And sometimes, right, when you put those ideals on the people around you, and they never quite measure up, right? Sagittarius, you have these wonderful, very high-minded ideals and philosophical ideals, and we humans never quite measure up to the ideal. And of course, striving for the ideal is wonderful, but we never measure up. Sagittarians, we never quite measure up to our own ideal, and other people are never going to quite measure up to our ideals that we hold for what people should be and what relationships should be. So this Tower card for Sagittarius in a spiritual sense, it really invites you to release some of this attachment to ideals and really ask yourself honestly, what part of this idealism is an actual, egoic, limited ego attachment to the way I think things should be. And the Tower really invites you to release that, to surrender that, and just understand an ideal is something that's wonderful to strive for, but having lust of result of, expecting to achieve the ideal With the Tower card, that has to be released. And so for some Sagittarians, as always, when you're involved in social occasions and activities with other people, you know, some plans may fall through. You know, this would be on a more minor, mundane level. Again, you know, if Tower is causing some plans to fall through where, you know, you had maybe expected to get together with, you know, certain friends or a certain group of people, and those plans fall through, just roll with it. The main lesson from Tower, whether it's on a mundane level or on a spiritual level, is just go with the flow. Something's going to change, and it's no good to, you know, stay attached to it. The best thing you can do is just release whatever it is that's not happening and go with that flow. So Sagittarius, that is your tarot and numerology for October 2025. If you enjoyed this video, please do like and subscribe. Wishing you the blessings of good health, peace, and prosperity for October. Namaste.